Hey everybody, what's happening? Aaron with you. Today on the podcast, we have with us Amy Arends. She is an Oola Life coach and a mental health advocate. This was really interesting because she reached out to us and said, I would love to share some information on the podcast. When somebody reaches out to me, I am very apt to get them on because they obviously have something to share, and I want to make sure I give them the platform to do that. So I definitely wanted to get her on. And I'm really glad I did because I learned a lot about different natural ways to help yourself and different ways that you can go about as opposed to medication. And I know I talk very openly about the medications that I'm on and what they do for me and kind of just all of that in a sense, but it did also make me look at, is there another alternative? Is there something that maybe I'm not seeing or didn't know about? And there is. And it's really awesome to hear about that. So it's a really interesting podcast. I'm really happy that she reached out, and I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to get her on. So check out the show notes below for all of her information. But as I always say every week, this is a really good one. Let's roll. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have with me Amy Arends. She is a certified Oola Life Healing coach and a mental health advocate. Amy, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yes, my pleasure.
Yeah, you kind of reached out to us and said, hey, I kind of want to talk about some stuff that's very important to me. And I love when people reach out to us and they want to be a part of this. So you had a kind of a bunch of really cool stuff that I'm not even sure about. Like, so you told me right before we started, certified Oola Life Healing coach. I do not know what that is. Please tell me what that is.
Yes, I'm excited to share. There's so much. I'm a certified Oola life coach, and Oola means finding balance and growth in this unbalanced world. In the 7 core areas of life, being fitness, mentally and physically healthy, finance, family, faith, field, your career, friends, and fun. And when you realize where you're out of balance, that's when it really comes together of getting the things that are most important to you and the things that are low on their 7 F's to get it all balanced and growing is the key to life being that Oola life, that awesomeness that everyone wants.
Sure. So when people come to you, like what's usually like their biggest concern? Like, is it one part of their life that's out of balance that usually is common, or is it always kind of different?
Well, I often work with individuals who have lost loved ones.
Okay.
Primarily suicide, because that's what I've endured, that loss myself. So I can help them the most in that way. And so mostly mentally and physically is my top things that I like to start with. Because when you're getting outside, getting in nature, going for walks, getting that mental clarity every day and feeling strong, fit, and healthy, that's my ideal life.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing too. Like I recently started working out again because I've been obviously at home because of this whole pandemic, and I haven't gone to the gym in how many months. So then I started finally working out, and I'm like, wow, I actually feel so much better. I feel a little bit more energized to do stuff. So I could see that entirely.
Exactly. So then once you get that mentally and physically, you have that endurance to keep going and feel motivated in other areas of your life. And then it's easier to get it balanced and growing, to see it more clearly.
Sure.
You know?
So once you get, so you do you focus on the physical part of it, the mental part of it. And you were saying some of the other 7, what were those again?
Yes. Having finances is a big one. Having those finances to balance and set that budget every month is key to having your life going, right? And knowing how much you have and seeing how much is really coming in and how much you're spending, especially now with all this COVID stuff of being home, like what's really going on? Do I have enough to survive?
Right.
And most people have more or less than they think, you know?
Yeah. And I'm sure. Well, and that's a big stress for people. Just finances in general. I mean, anything. How could that not be a stressor for people?
Exactly. So just trying to get people to focus and notice more on all areas. And then family being another big one, because even your core family at home, having that balance and growing is a lifelong journey also.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just trying to survive working from home. And then the extended family on top of that, if you can see them or can't see them. And
right.
It's big.
So, and I guess I'm going to kind of jump the gun here because you kind of led into something that I was curious about was, as far as like you're talking about this family growth and people working at home, have you seen an increase in what you're doing because of the pandemic? Like people are coming to you virtually, or are they?
Yes, they are coming more virtually, even though I like doing it in person. It was a struggle for me to do it virtually now, but it was like, okay, well, we have to do this is better than nothing at this point,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they are finding that they need that outlet to take that self-care time, that self-love, because you have to have that self-love so you can be there to help and love others.
Absolutely.
Show them the way.
Okay, so so we went through finances, we went through family. What was the next one?
Faith.
Faith.
So no matter what you believe in, it's your belief, but it's always good to have that higher self-awareness and that connection to spirit, and just know that there's a bigger purpose in the universe,
Well, and so that's kind of cool that you say it can be kind of whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be if you're a Christian, it doesn't have to be if you're Jewish, it doesn't have to be if you're Satanist, whatever, it's just something that is a higher power to you.
Exactly. And that's why it's individualized for each person that I work with, because it is okay. Whatever you believe in, that's your belief. And there's no judgments or push on anything.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Obviously, it's not narrowed down to something that you have to almost push through to them. It's their own interpretation. I think that's very, very important. So that was 6. What's 7 again?
Yeah, it makes people really think about what they believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. Wow.
Yeah, so the next one is field, your career. So a lot of people didn't like their jobs or are still figuring out what they want to do with their life.
Yeah.
So having that time to really sit down, like, what I really want to do. And in my personal life, COVID made me quit my job because I worked with disabled adults at a day program and I loved it. And they were so cute and precious, but I had been in the field for 18 years.
Sure.
And it was kind of like, okay, I've been with this company for 8 years now. If I wasn't doing this, what would I be doing? What else what else am I called to do? And that's when I got into the Oola Life Coaching and realizing there's so much more to my purpose and what I can share with the world to help others survive.
I think that's very valuable to recognize, because I mean, I went through that as well. I like I said, we were talking beforehand, I wasn't happy at the end of my law enforcement career. I wasn't. So then you get into something that maybe you feel a little bit more energized and a little bit more passionate about. It really does make a difference in how you actually work.
Oh yeah. I was sad to go because I loved I call them my special peeps.
Yeah.
But it was like so freeing and rejuvenating for my life. Like, oh my gosh, I can do whatever I want right now.
Yeah.
And just like focus on that and narrow it down. I'm like, okay,
so
I'm here.
So while you were doing that, were you also like being like in the process to be certified, or were you certified during that time?
Well, I knew about the Oola guys. It's 2 guys created the Oola plan. And their premise is they got a VW bus and they traveled the whole US. They were collecting dreams. So everybody wrote a dream on their sticker and they would stick the sticker on the bus. So their goal was to get 1 million dreams on this bus. And they did it. And then they wanted to spread the Oola word. So they got coaches involved to actually like help others more because the two of them couldn't do it all. So they call us the Oola Army, helping others like make it bigger and bigger.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the whole premise of it, where it started. So I've known about the Oola guys in the book that they wrote years ago. So I was kind of just like led up to it. I'm like, okay, I can do this too.
That's really cool. I think that's obviously something. And I guess, would you compare this to being like a therapist, or would you compare this to something else?
I think it's all the above. Like, I feel like I'm a therapist, the coach, the accountability partner. Like, okay, well, you said you were going to do this. Did you do it?
Yeah.
And then kind of like the friend, but that little like push and pinch, like, okay, you said it, do it.
Well, and I think,
and then once they do it, then they feel like so liberated and like, oh my gosh, yay, I did it.
Yeah. And as far as like that, I think that is right. Coach is like the best term, I think, because you're letting them do what they need to do, but you're also kind of giving them the advice that they need to succeed, basically.
Mm-hmm. And just having that daily practice that I help them get on their routine of just doing a meditation and some kind of stretching and movement of your body, of Zumba, yoga, get out for a walk, whatever feels good for their body.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great though, because, that right now, I feel like there are so many people that really are they're struggling and they have no idea how to cope with what is really going on. I mean, let's just face it. We've had a very, very divisive election. We have this pandemic that's going on. People are struggling and there's nothing that they feel could help them. And that's what's so important, because getting that message out there, getting the message of, hey, I can kind of help you kind of get that drive back, or this is kind of what you need to do. I think people need that.
Exactly. Yeah, I truly believe having a healthy mind, body, and soul is crucial for true self-happiness. You have to be happy with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I mean, and it's really neat that there's this kind of, I don't want to say like project, or is it a project that these two guys did, or was it just something that they were like, we kind of came into it as we did this?
Well, one of the guys was like the guru. He had his whole life balance and growing. He had all of his finances and family, like everything together. And he retired at 42. And the other guy was at that point and then lost it all. So they call him the Oola Seeker.
Yeah.
So the guru and the seeker had to help each other again. And he's like, okay, the seeker is like, if this helps me again, getting my Oola life back, then I want to share Oola with the world. So the guys came together again and just like blew it up.
Wow.
I first met them through Young Living because they had essential oil for every F.
Yeah.
I do all my natural living through their essential oils and make my own healthy products and deodorant and body wash and sanitizers and all that.
That's a wonderful...
It all came together.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I don't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, no, that's an actual wonderful segue into kind of the other thing that you wanted to really talk about was, you were saying, like, I see you're a mental health advocate, but you try to heal people with that in a different way, correct?
Yes. So it goes back to my mother. She was on antidepressants, but we really didn't know when we were younger. 15 years ago, she passed and no one was open. No one talked about it. Mm-hmm. So we didn't realize, I don't know if I really knew, like, hey, my mom's on antidepressants. I don't even know if I really thought about it. But now I just want people to be aware of how the side effects are true, and it affects your brain so much. And knowing now that she went off of them and back on them. And the roller coaster of side effects, you can't go cold turkey.
Right.
So that's my big message that I want to put out there. Like, ideally, try to do it natural and healthy ways. And if you think that you really do need the medication, then just be careful.
That's very important that you say that, because I from my experience, I am on antidepressants. And basically what I've learned from them is I have to take them very regularly. Like I take, one of this a day. But the thing is, I've seen the effects of when I go off of them, how like insane. I don't want to say insane, but that's the best word. Like my mind is at a constant cruise right now. Like it's good. I'm at a very happy place where it's just kind of cruising along. But the second I go off of them, or I don't take them for like a week or two, you see this coming back like a freight train. You see my mind revving up at like 1,000 miles an hour. So I understand how that affects are very real.
Yeah, that's what scares me. And that's good that you're open and talk about it.
Yeah.
That key, like if you need it, then be open. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, of course. I've basically made it very known that if I'm not on them, yes, I do see a different side where I constantly am anxious, constantly going from anxious to depressed to feeling like I'm alone, feeling like it's hard. So I do understand that. But I like that you take the approach of trying a different way, though. Like you say, you try natural ways.
Yes, what I do with my clients, I like to work with people that have lost. I don't necessarily want to work with people that are suicidal. That's a whole another realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to work with people and help them after the loss.
Sure.
Because there's so many, even seeing all the numbers going up more than COVID with suicide numbers. And I was just like, that's devastating. Just to see like the effect of one suicide, how many people that life affected.
We talk about that so much, like as far as they talk about, yes, the actual physical pandemic, the virus, but the emotional pandemic is mental health and suicide. Like that's something that's not getting addressed enough.
Exactly. That mental awareness that needs to be talked about. Because I remember sitting there, even at my mom's service, a packed room, just like, oh my gosh, you don't realize how much one life impacts so many people. So that's the people that I am called to work with.
I think that's a great like avenue to really dive into, because you're right. I mean, one suicide can be so detrimental to so many people. I mean, I saw it when I was on the road as an officer. I saw, the effects that has. And the thing is, I am so a believer now in being vulnerable and sharing those intimate details about my life and how things have affected me, because it opens other people up to be vulnerable as well. And it feels like, hey, he went through that and he was an officer. He went through a ton of stuff, but that means maybe I can do it too. So it's the power of vulnerability is fantastic. It really is.
Exactly. I feel like the more vulnerable that I've been, the more real and raw, the more I can connect and be true to my authentic self.
Well, and I always say that too, because I give a presentation, kind of like signs and symptoms of suicide. And there's a slide in the actual PowerPoint that I have that says, what are my quote unquote qualifications? I don't have degrees. I have a associate's degree in criminal justice. That's what I have. But I have a master's in life experience. Like that is so much more valuable.
Oh, totally.
I always say to people, like, if you can connect with somebody and be real and be empathetic with them, that's way more powerful than having a lecture or having a teacher say this and not feel a connection at all. So I agree with you entirely about connecting with them in that aspect.
Yeah, and I feel like when I work with someone, I get them to just really just focus on breathing and just relax. And with I have a essential oil routine that I do with them. And affirmations are so powerful that I was working with someone just to say I am worthy was
Mhm.
really difficult for her. I would say, okay, repeat after me, I'm worthy. And she's like, I'm worthy? I'm like, oh, why are you questioning it? You are worthy. You are worthy of having a happy, fun, beautiful life.
Uh,
And
I,
I think
I
she was
understand that entirely. Yes, I get that. Where people don't see their self-worth. I mean, we all go through periods of that every once in a while, but at the same time, you do have to look inward and say, you know what? I am a human being. I have this. I have the right to be happy, not just be sad and miserable all the time.
mm-hmm. No, the good one was, I am grateful for all that I am. And that was difficult for some people to say. I am
Yeah.
grateful for all that I am.
You know,
You know,
you just remind me so much of what my boss Barbara was telling you about her earlier. What she says to me all the time, because I'm at home like basically full time with this job now because of the virus, and I have two small children at home, so I'm constantly like on edge and like feeling like, oh, I got to do this. And she always says this one little line that I have to always repeat in my head. She goes, "Give yourself some grace," and I'm like, why? You know, why? I doing all this, but I'm like, I do. I have to actually say, this is hard. It is, you know, and give yourself some grace.
it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites is, it is safe for me to honor my needs first.
Yeah. A
That's a good,
100%. And I
that's
bet how
hard for
many
a lot of people.
how many people feel like them doing something for themselves probably feel selfish. You know, they feel like I don't want to not do this because I'm going to let this person down. You know, hey, take the extra hour of sleep and go to bed and be selfish. You know, do something for you.
That's the big key too. Like, don't look at it as being selfish. Being self-aware and self-care is so important. So you can be there to help others. I
Yeah,
know so many moms that are like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Even if you take 5 minutes to breathe and just connect to yourself and source, it makes a huge difference.
sometimes that's just so hard for people too. Like just to like I'm a very like I will relax. I will do this when it needs to be done. My wife is very much the opposite of me. She's a go person. That's hard for me, but that's also hard for her as well. So it's this cool balance of okay, I can get stuff done, but we can also have a relaxing evening where we don't do anything, you know? So
Mhm.
I guess one of the questions I had earlier for you was like, what's the age demographic of like what you deal with or who you talk to?
I believe right now it's been about 25 to 40.
I think that's appropriate. I think I would say
Mhm.
that that's probably the time where people are so at least for
Yeah,
me, when I was in my 20s, yeah, I was like, all right, I
yeah,
think I know what I'm doing, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know
exactly.
anything.
Yeah, that's why I feel like I wish I had someone that was going through things like I do to help people when I lost my mom at 21, because you feel so lost and abandoned and devastated. You don't know what you're doing. I didn't know. I think I like blocked so much out and just like blurted out that I don't even remember a lot of things back in that time.
Sure. Sure. So like let's just say hypothetically somebody comes to you and they feel like their life's a complete mess, they're not sure where they're going. What's the first thing that you kind of do with them?
The first thing is realizing where they're at is just where they're at. It's not who they are, and this too shall pass. That
Yeah,
was one of my favorite lines. This too shall pass, because they just need to just stop and breathe and just talk it out. What's really going on? Let's get to the core of the issue and solve the problems.
I I couldn't agree more with that. Like the one thing I've always said is, and I know I do it more so than than I think I do, but I try to listen as much as I possibly can when I have a guest on. But it's always like you'll say something and I'll be like, oh my God, that sparked something so big. And I want to share these things. But with just the power of talking, I mean, that is just so relieving in itself too, just saying like, yeah, this is going on. This is going on. I don't know how to deal with it. But that weight that's lifted off is so huge.
Yes, just to get them talking and realizing like, okay, what can we really focus on? Is there something that worrying about it isn't going to help? If there's nothing that we can do or change about it, then release it and try to let it go as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I love essential oils, so I definitely love the gratitude and grounding and joy oil, believe, harmony. There's acceptance. There's so many great blends out there that help you just connect and realize, okay, I'm okay. It's okay to feel sad when you lose someone, suicide or not. If you lose a loved one, it's hard. It's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
To feel all the feels is okay. And I think a lot of people just like, oh, she's sad. Okay, let me put her on antidepressants. No, it's okay to be sad. If it gets to that point that she thinks, or he or she thinks that that's the route to go, but initially, it's okay. It's okay to be sad.
That I think that's very hard for people to just say it's okay. Like, I mean, I think it's, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I think it's okay to an extent, like where it's like if you can be sad, you're allowed to be sad. But at what point do you, as a life coach, say, okay, this maybe is something that's out of my reach? Like, do you ever like refer people, or is it something that you're just constantly working with somebody?
It depends. If it gets to that point where they need more professional help, I definitely say seek
Right.
a counselor or psychologist or whatever they need.
Yeah.
But once we start focusing on the 7 core areas and they realize like, okay, I need to do this in this category and make more connections with my friends and have fun and family and fitness. And once you really focus and try to balance all these, which is always life challenging, life happens kind of moments, but really focusing on it and knowing that it's a lifelong journey, that you'll constantly be working on these 7, and that's just life.
I think, yeah, but that's good though, that there's never an end. There's never an end to that. You can always work to be better. You can always work to be happier. And that's kind of a nice thing to think like, all right, as long as you keep them in check and you're doing this and this, there's not an end. So you're always going to continuously keep doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like to tell people, I call it the 3 major A's: acknowledgement, activate, and affirm. So if you acknowledge that your life is out of balance, then you can focus on where you need to get it more in balance.
Yeah.
And then activate, just get your body movement, the activation of the whole process to get it going. And then just affirm that you got this. Like, say the affirmation, start a gratitude journal, whatever that person needs is what I will guide them to that process.
That's huge. I think just even, and we practice this at the center too, actually based on one of the trainings we do, is you start a gratitude journal and just having something that you're saying like, okay, I'm grateful for the fact that I got to sleep an extra hour, or my kids slept a little bit longer. I'm grateful that my wife made me coffee in the morning. I'm grateful that something like that makes your day spiral in an upward spiral as opposed to a downward spiral.
Exactly. Appreciate the little things.
And I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah, just having a warm bed and a roof over your head is like that is
do you think
to be grateful for.
Do you think though that it's like, obviously we can find the happy things in life, but we focus on the negative so much that it almost is so foreign for people to focus on that little aspect that's good. So how do you like reach into somebody and say like, focus on the good stuff if they're so inclined to be negative all the time?
I think just getting them to acknowledge that they are being negative and to switch it to a positive.
Yeah.
Every time you say something negative, or even like the neighbor is doing something weird. Oh, the neighbor's out enjoying the fresh air. Like, switch everything to a positive. And just that acknowledgement is crucial too. Just to have that awareness that you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And that judgment, with self-judgment and the judgment on someone else, you don't know what they're going through.
That's
And
exactly it. Yeah.
have that first assumption of negative judgment.
People jump to negative often, always negative.
Hard. It's really hard not to.
I know. But that's good that you take a proactive approach to saying, look, I get that this can be negative, switch it to a positive, and your day is going to be 100 times better. Like, it's just, that's what it is, basically.
Yes. Yeah, that and getting the toxin chemicals off of your body and in your home just is huge.
So how does one do that? Like you're talking about the toxins in your home. Like, what? Go into that a little bit more.
I call it transfer buying. When I first started this, when I ran out of my cleaner, I started using Thieves essential oils cleaner. And have you heard of Thieves? Thieves. It's the combination of cinnamon, clove, lemon, rosemary, and and anyways, they put this into a cleaner, so you're not only getting your house clean with no toxin chemicals, but you're getting that immunity boost that you and your family don't get sick. So that's when I started like transfer buying to different things like that. And then I make my own hand sanitizer. So with Thieves and peppermint, witch hazel, and distilled water. And it was important to me for deodorant too, because so many people and women are putting that into their lymph nodes, and the numbers of breast cancer are going up, and it really scared me. So I started making this deodorant about 5 years ago, and just to let people know that there's options. Like, you can do it with no toxic chemicals.
And do you, obviously, since you're doing this naturally, do you think that there's a correlation between the toxins and stuff to like major diseases?
I believe it correlates a little bit, definitely.
Okay.
I want to believe 100% that I'm using all this non-toxic stuff that I will never get anything. I'm like, cross your fingers, right? That's the goal.
Right.
That's why I'm putting it out there to others. Like, just try it. Why not? What's the worst that could happen? You know,
exactly. Well, I mean, and I'm a hypocrite when I say that, because I'll use some natural stuff. Like my wife, she uses this cleaner that's very natural. Like, I can't even think of the name of it, but like today when I took a shower, I got my shampoo and I put it whatever, and I looked at the back of the bottle. And I'm like, I can't pronounce any of these things. Like, it is concerning, but I don't know anything else. So that's cool that you provide this kind of alternative to people that maybe want to try that.
Exactly. When I look at something and there's a paragraph of ingredients in it and you can't pronounce any of them, you're like, yeah, no, I don't want this in or on my body or in my house.
Right, exactly. And I think that's really great that you do provide that alternative. I really do, because that's something that I know people need, and that they probably don't know too much about it yet. And that's probably just growing up, that's the way that things were. That's at least me. I didn't know anything about any natural alternatives, but now it's coming out more, and there's more information and there's more research, and it's very cool to see that.
Exactly. Yeah. I am very proud of it. And looking back, like, I wish my mom would have known about this and would have tried natural, other ways, routes to go about it, but they didn't know. They didn't know back then.
And that's exactly the thing. Times are changing.
Yeah, I'm grateful for what I know now, so I can change the future.
Yeah, I think that's great to really focus on that. And with all of the research that's coming out now, you can always see the positives of something that's all natural, as opposed to every chemical I can't name that I'm putting on my hair and skin and stuff. But even so, I think that at least having the option is good. And I think it's really fair for people to make that assumption if they have to try it, or they have to make that assumption after trying something like that. If it's not for you, fine, not for you, but at least try it. I think you're right. What do you have to lose? Well, and Amy, I think it's very important that people, like you said, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose to try something like that? So how can people get a hold of you? How can they try your product? How can they learn about, what you do further?
Yes, I have a website, livelaughlovewithamy.com, and you can find out all my information there. And I'm also doing different classes every Monday night at 5. So that will be on there. When you sign up for my newsletter, you will get that information. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for every step of the journey to help more people and guide them on their path to
so
their life.
Just a quick question. As far as this class that you do every Monday night, who's that directed for?
It's directed for anyone wanting to find chemical-free lifestyle.
Okay, good. It's just like I said, it's something to try. So definitely check out your website, livelaughlovewithamy.com, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't remember, I'll put it in the show notes as well. So Amy, again, thank you so much. Oh, you know what? I didn't ask you the question. So let me redirect that.
Oh.
I forgot. Oh my God. How do I forget stuff like that? The
You're
question
so, into it.
That's what it is. Yeah. And it's just, it sometimes slips my mind. If I don't have my notes up, I just cruise through everything. But so I do ask this question to everybody that's on the podcast. What's your advice for anybody that's ever been in your situation or has resonated with something that you've said?
Someone that's been in my situation of having lost a loved one to suicide.
You can interpret it any way you want.
Okay. I definitely feel that having that person to go to after enduring a sad loss is crucial to find yourself again. It's hard to have that loss and not have someone to guide you through it. And that's why I wish I would have had someone when I lost my mom, because it was so hard. And to feel that abandoned and not know where to turn to find any solution. There wasn't really a solution. If there's anyone that have lost a loved one to suicide, I just want them to know that they are not alone. It is okay to be sad. It's okay to ask for help and know that there's natural, healthy ways of going about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to guide you every step of the way.
That's fantastic. Honestly, that is super powerful. And I love the work you're doing. And like I said, we'll definitely get all of your information in the show notes. But again, Amy, thank you so much for coming on today. I really do appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron. I am so grateful and thankful for this opportunity.
Of course. Amy, thanks again for coming on the podcast. I was really excited to have you on because it is always cool to learn something new about another way to approach a situation and to learn that, there's other alternatives and there's other ways that people can maybe get help. I'm all for it. And I'd love to give you that platform to share it. So check out the show notes below with all of Amy's information. It's super important. And I know that she has a podcast that she's running as well. Check her out. Again, everything in the show notes below. If you like the podcast today, please share, subscribe, follow, anything you're on, because it does help. And it's kind of amazing because I know we're really going and it's really getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, I keep seeing different countries that are listening, which is crazy to me because this is something that I just wanted to do on a whim for the center. And I'm glad I did because I've got to meet so many amazing different people. People have so many stories and I want to share it with everybody. I want to share it with the world because they need that platform. Again, that's why this podcast is started. Everyone has a story. It doesn't matter what you do or who you are. You have something that people want to hear, and I want to give you that platform to share it. So share, subscribe, follow whatever platform you listen on. Visit us on our social pages, the Center for Suicide Awareness, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, Twitch, LinkedIn. All are at Center for Suicide Awareness in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. We're really happy to be a part of this awesome group, Mental Health News Radio Network. They have accepted us with open arms to find us different podcast guests, different people that are in the realm of mental health and want to help people. It's a central hub for a bunch of different interesting podcasts that focus on mental health. And I'm glad that we're a part of it because we are getting that message out to people. We are spreading positivity in a really negative world right now. So I'm glad that we are able to do that with them. Check them out, mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to be on the podcast, email me, Aaron, AARON, at centerforsuicideawareness.org. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your hopefully positive criticism or your negative, whatever. I'm fine with that too. But I want to hear it because it only is going to make me a better podcaster and it's only going to make me a better host for the people that are listening. And I want to make sure that I give you the best quality content I can. So again, Aaron, AARON, at centerforsuicideawareness.org. The Center for Suicide Awareness has a text-based emotional support line called the HOPELINE. All you would have to do is text HOPELINE to 741-741, and you'll be connected to a trained specialist free of charge that we have on hand. We have over 2,500 of them to talk about any issue that you're facing. It doesn't have to necessarily be suicide. It can be a bad day. It can be a breakup. It can be financial issues. It could be the fact that you just need some advice or you just don't have anyone to talk to. And especially through the holidays, things are kind of crazy and people get very lonely, and it's okay to feel that. And we're giving you this very free outlet to connect with somebody, connect with a real person that can understand and empathize with you. That's the most important thing. So again, all you have to do is text HOPELINE to 741-741. At this point, it's only in the United States. However, I know that in the very near future, we're going to be going international with it. So keep that in mind. Remember that. HOPELINE to 741-741. Every week has been, in 2020, to be completely honest, kind of a roller coaster. We always have something going on. We always have something negative that we've seen. And I got to tell you, and I'd like to do a recap of the whole thing, but of the whole year, because it's kind of been this whirlwind of people that I've met and learning how to host a podcast and learning how to become a host and to just create content. I've never been that way. So it's really amazing that I get that opportunity to. I'm really, really excited for it. I'm really excited to see what 2021 brings us because this has been, in my opinion, one of the best years that I've ever had for a career or professionally. Yeah, it sucked on the outside. It sucked with a couple things, here and there, but I've really found my passion and I've really found my calling, and it's helping people in this type of way. I was glad to be a police officer for 12 years. It was one of the most amazing, special, heart-wrenching, emotionally draining, caring, loving things that I've ever done. But I'm glad that I'm on the other side and I get to see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there always has been. And I just maybe never saw that when I was putting on the uniform every day. So for any of you first responders or for any of my brothers and sisters in blue that listen to this, remember, if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling like you don't have an outlet, you don't have something that you can do, remember, you can. And I'm living proof of it. As I say every single week, you are loved and you are important. And remember, you are not alone. Take care, everybody. Bye.